Okay, so after getting a lot of requests to put this review out, I've decided to move this forward by a couple of days. I originally had this planned to be released on the 20th, but I'm going to be doing it today instead. So this isn't going to be a video about the pricing structure or the different versions of this software. What I want to do here is to make a video about the fundamentals of this software, to take a look at me using the software, and then help you decide whether this is going to be a good match for your publishing business. Okay, so I will be creating videos in the upcoming days about the pricing structure. I'll also be doing a Q&A video as well, and I'll also be doing a video about how you can use this software in your publishing business in various ways. So there's lots of videos coming up. Stay tuned for them. You're going to be getting a full look at this software on my channel, and I want to make sure that you are absolutely crystal clear with 100% of everything that you get with this software, okay? And that all your questions and concerns are fully answered. So those of you wondering when this software comes out, it's going to be released on February the 22nd, so just a few more days. So that's February 22nd is when Hand Drawn Mazes gets released. And also I urge you to stay until the end of this video, because I'm going to be sharing details about the bonus that I'm personally going to be including with this software. And it's not going to be just any old bonus. It's something that I think you're going to find really, really valuable. Okay, so hold on to the end of the video if you can and see what that's all about. Okay, so let's take a look at the software. But one more thing before I get started. How would you like to see an interview between me and a guy from my Facebook group who has sold 100 books on Amazon KDP with his first ever book on Amazon, and he's had no previous publishing experience? Is that something that you would like to see? If you would like to see that, leave a comment below, because I'm going to be on camera talking to this guy about how he's done this. And I think a lot of us would like to know his secrets. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to make it happen. Leave a comment and we'll do it. Okay, so let's get into Hand Drawn Mazes. So I think the easiest way for me to review this is by just demoing the software and creating mazes for you whilst talking about the standout features inside. Okay, so full disclosure here, I have the fully paid for version of this, so some of the things that you see in this might not represent what you get with the version that you buy, so just bear that in mind when I'm going through this. So let's take a look at what the app has to offer. Now, what you'll see on the left hand side here is all the different types of mazes that you can use. So within each type of maze, you have variations of that maze as well. Okay, so for example, maze type 1 here, if we expand this, we can see that we get a ton of different variations of this maze. Okay, and that's going to be the same for all the type of mazes inside of this software. Okay, so again, it depends which version of the software that you get. Don't worry too much now about that, because like I say, I'm going to be discussing that in detail in the next few videos. But what you'll be able to see here is that there is a ton of variety inside of this app. Okay, so what I think we should do is pick one of these mazes and start creating a maze. So let's just go ahead and use the first maze here from maze type 1. And if you've ever used any of the software made by these guys before, you're going to be getting the same experience where it's incredibly easy to use. And I know that they've put a ton of effort and time into making this software as easy to use as it is. So just from the basic things of being able to move the mazes around, being able to resize the mazes is incredibly easy. So let's go ahead and start creating a maze here. So what I want to do, and I'm going to start showing off some of the features of this software as I go through it. The first thing that you'll be able to do is to add your own images into this software. Okay, so I have a couple that I have back from one of my designers. But what you'll also find, depending on which version of the software you get, you'll also get a load of different elements that you can include in these mazes. Okay, so for me, I'm going to be using ones that I've already had outsourced from my designer. So let's take a look at just a couple of these and put these into this maze and start creating something from that. Okay, so let me show you how easy this is to start creating these mazes. Okay, so what I want to do here, let's just do an example. Let's say that we want to have the dinosaur here, so we're going to click the dinosaur, insert that into the maze, and let's say that we want to have him finding his dog friend. So let's click the dog and insert that, and we're going to pull that down to the bottom here. Okay, so what you'll notice, and this is one of the features I'm going to talk about now, is if this isn't cut out correctly, like you can see there's a big white border around the image that I've got back here. What you can do is just send, if you right click and then move this to the back, that'll go to the back here, and then you can put this in without that looking stupid. Okay, so that brings me to a big point about the software here, and that is the ability to tweak things as and when you want until you have that vision in your head become a reality. Okay, so imagine that you were hiring someone to do this for you. How long would it take for you to make the changes that you want until you get the thing that you desire on screen? So for example, let's say that your outsourcer brought this back to you and you weren't happy. You wanted some text on it, you wanted the dinosaur to be bigger, you wanted the dog to be smaller. How long would it take for that to happen? So inside of this, it's so quick to do. You can just quickly change things on the fly until you have the look that you want with your maze. Okay, so again, I'm just going to put this one to the back until it looks decent. So let's have that about there. Okay, so that's one of the first big appeals of the software, is being able to do things the way that you want to. And this comes down to being creative. If you have an ounce of creativity in your body, then I think you'll find that this is going to be the perfect application for you. So let's keep going with this maze. Let's start creating something a little bit more intricate here. Okay, so what the next thing that I want to do is to have some sort of text on screen. Okay, so again, pretty simple. Come up to the top here. Let's add some text. And again, we can just move that around very quickly. Let's add another text box here. Add another text box here and bring that down to here. Okay, so for me, I don't like the font at all, and obviously I need to have some relevant text in there as well. So let's go ahead and say help the dinosaur find his friend. So this doesn't look right at all, does it? It doesn't look like it's for a kid's book. So what we can do, I'm going to change the font here, and we can quickly just click on that, change the font to the one that we want. And again, this comes down to how creative you are. With the amount of font options in here, you can get extremely creative with this app. So I'm going to go with this one here for both of these. I want to change the size of these. Again, we can do that really quickly. Let's make this one bigger. So help the dinosaur find his friend. And like I say, what's great about this is that I can tweak this until it looks the way that I want it to look. Okay, so there's no second guessing when it comes to hiring someone to do this. Okay, so this is already starting to shape up to look pretty good. So imagine how long and how much money it would take to have just something like this outsourced from a designer. Okay, and like I say, the big draw here of this software is that I'm creating it in a way that I want it to look as and when I want to make those changes. Okay, so let's carry on working on this maze. Now let's say that I wanted to create a book that was actually in color, because I don't think that's something you see too often, a maze book that's in color. This might be something that you think is going to add a ton of value to your book. So with this software, you can do that very quickly. Now, at the time of recording this, I'm not 100% sure if this is included in the front end of the software, but again, that's all going to be explained in the upcoming videos. But what you can do with this is to quickly change the color. If we come up here, change the color of the maze, let's say we want to have a blue maze. We can do that by selecting the blue option there, and that's going to change the color of the maze on the screen now. Okay, so again, we can change the text color, we can change the maze color until we have things the way that we want them on screen. Okay, so let's talk about something else here as we're going through our maze. Now, you might not be able to see this just by looking at it, but there are multiple paths that the child can take when it comes to completing this maze. Okay, so this opens up a big opportunity for us to create something extremely unique inside of our books. Let's say that we want to block one of these paths. So if the child goes the wrong way, they have to stop and start again. Okay, so this is going to add a ton of value and a ton of fun to our customers' books. And it's a really unique selling point that you can have when it comes to creating activity books. So let me give you an example. Let's say that the maze here, one of the paths is going to be blocked by, let's say it's going to be blocked by a chicken for whatever reason. Obviously you wouldn't do that, but let's say that this path here, gets blocked by the chicken. Okay, so what we can do is take a look at the paths available to us. So if we select the maze and then come up here to select path, what you'll see is that we have 3 different paths for this type of maze. Okay, so what we can see here is that the current path, the one that takes you to the dog, the one that wins, is this one here. Okay, so if we want it to be a different one, we can apply this path 2. Okay, so this is going to be the second path that they could take to get to the end. Then of course we have path 3 as well, which is going to be a different route that the child can take. Okay, so what you can do here, if you wanted to block, so if let's say this was your final solution, you wanted this one to be the winning solution. Okay, let's say that you wanted to block the wrong way. What you can do, since we know which path is the one that works, what you can do is block off the path that hasn't been highlighted. Okay, so as we can see, this is highlighted. This is the way the child has to go. So this opens the opportunity to block paths off if they go a different direction. So if they come here and they go this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, they get hit by this here. Okay, then they have to stop and start again until they get the right path down to the dog. Okay, so again, that opens up a kind of unique selling point, and that's going to give you this opportunity to kind of create almost like story driven mazes. Okay, and again, the more fun that you make your book, the more likely your customer is to return and give you a 5-star review, and therefore the more sales that you like to make in future with that book. Okay, so it's super important you make these books fun, you be creative with it. And you know, on top of all this, it is a fun software to use. Like, I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, and I enjoy creating these types of mazes. Okay, so you could, if you were changing this, you could have something like help the dinosaur find his friend, mind the chickens, or something like that. If you hit the chickens, start again. There's so many different scenarios that you can create here. Okay, this is just one that I've made very quickly, as you can see. Okay, so with the creativity that you've already seen from just one maze, and also the images that I've been using and the text that I've been using, the color that I've been using, imagine the possibilities that you can have with all these different mazes and all the variations of these mazes, all the different images you can use from inside the software, or the different images that you have outsourced that you can use as well. There's just a lot that you can do with this. Okay, and as you can see here, just from me adding a couple more mazes into it, you can see the variety here. You can see how fun these are going to be for anyone that completes them. Now, I think anyone that has any creativity in their body will be able to look at the different types of maze designs here, the different types of mazes that they have to offer, and see the almost unlimited potential that this software has, and all the different niches that you can attack with all these different types of mazes. Okay, so in this section of the review, what I want to talk about is why the mazes are designed the way that they are. Now, this is going to be extremely powerful when it comes to creating story-driven mazes, because with each different type of maze design, it's going to change the narrative of the story that you put behind it. Okay, so I'm going to do a few examples on screen, and you're going to see why this is so powerful. So let me give you an example here. Now, this maze here is from maze type 4. And while the mazes might look the same, how they act is actually going to be different. Now, let me explain this to you with a few examples. So this one here that I've created just very quickly using all the elements inside the app. We have the 2 pirates at the bottom here. We have the treasure at the top. And then we have the story, which is that the pirates have become separated from their treasure, and they need to go ahead and get back to that. So you'll notice that there are 3 entry points here. So 1, 2, 3. 3 entry points, but you'll notice that there's only 1 exit point. Okay, there's only 1 destination they can go to. So if we take a look at the path that they can take here, there's only 1 path they can take. So what happens if they don't take this path? Now, obviously they can't see the path line like we can here. What happens if the child takes the wrong path? And that will be that they end up back at the start. Okay, so then they have to start again until they find the right path. Now, again, this is all about adding value and adding fun to your maze. Okay, now this isn't something that you can look at and see straight away. This is something that probably needed to be explained. But when you have these different types of mazes, when you have these different sort of choices that the child can take, or the person that's completing the mazes can take, you can then change the narrative around that. So you can create some really interesting story-driven mazes. So like I say, I'm going to do a couple more examples here. Okay, so let's take a look at another maze type. So this is going to be maze type 5. I think this one was here. So looking at these two side by side, they don't appear to be much different, right? So it's the same kind of thing again here, but it's going to change the narrative of the story completely that we put behind this. So with this one, we have 3 entry points again. 1, 2, 3. We're starting with this guy, and he's got to find, and he's got to go ahead and land on the moon here, okay? So like I said, help me land on the moon here. Meet me back here if you hit a comet. So with this one, 3 entry points, but this time instead of there being 1 exit point, like we had here, we had the 1 exit point here, but with this one, we have 3 exit points. Okay, so 1 exit point here, 1 exit point here, and 1 exit point here. So this changes the narrative of the story that you can put behind this completely, okay? So you get the option now that if they go the wrong way, they have to start again because they're going to hit a comet. So let's just see the paths that can be taken here, okay? So let's take a look at this path here. Now that's the right path. That's the one that's going to take the child to landing on the moon. Then we have the other path here. which is going to lead them to the comet or asteroid, whatever that is. And then again, it's going to lead, the path 3 is going to lead to the other one as well. So if they hit them, they have to start again. Okay, so again, it's a different scenario because the maze type is designed differently to allow that scenario. Okay, and that's why I love these designs so much, because at first glance you don't notice this, but when it comes down to it, when you start using the different designs, you'll see how powerful this can be when it comes to actually allowing your creative side to come out with these mazes. Okay, so for this next maze, we have something completely different here. I've gone for one in color. And for this one, we have 4 entry points and 4 exit points. And we can kind of create these type of match 'em up mazes. Now, what's great about these is that you can easily create these kind of educational type mazes. So not only does the child have to complete the maze, but they also have to match the object to the corresponding letter at the same time. So anything where you can offer educational value is going to go down a treat with the parents that buy these books. Okay, so that's just a few of the pages that you can create using just a couple of the maze designs that we have inside this software. So hopefully at this point, given the sheer amount of designs that you can get and the sheer flexibility that you have within this software as well, then on top of that, your own creativity, hopefully what you can see from this is the opportunity to create something absolutely fantastic, absolutely 100% unique, never seen before on Amazon. So with this software, you're only really going to be limited by your own creativity. And like I said before, if you have any type of creativity, and you're talking to someone here who is absolutely dreadful when it comes to creativity, and I've been able to make some pretty nice looking mazes just in the last sort of 20 minutes or so. So let's take a look at some of the options here inside of the page settings. So with this here, you can select which type of page size you want your mazes to be. So I'm going to go with an 8.5 by 11 for most of mine. You can also choose how you want to have the numbering shown on screen. So this here, you can have that in the right hand corner, the left hand corner, you can have it in the middle. You can hide that completely. You can show the page margins if you aren't sure that you're inside the margins that you're allowed to go within or not. And then of course you can show the solutions at the bottom here. So again, haven't talked about the solutions yet. Once you create a maze, at the back of the book is automatically going to fill out with whichever solution you decide to go with. Okay, so as you can see from the first one here, we selected which path did we go for? We selected this path here as our solution. That's what we want. So in the back here, it automatically creates the solution path here, okay, as well. So again, imagine trying to have a designer do all of this for you. How long would that take for that to happen? Okay, and I have actually tried to outsource similar designs like this, and it is a nightmare to do. Honestly, it's almost impossible. Okay, so like I say, this was just a review of the standout features of this software, and you can take a look at this now and decide whether this is something that suits your publishing business or whether this is something that's going to spark you with lots of inspiration to create new books around. When it comes to the videos that I create in the upcoming days about the different types of the different versions of the software that you can get, then I'll be taking a look at the finer details as to what each one offers. Okay, so there's more to this app than what I've just shown, but this is the basics. This is what you can use it for. I'm personally enjoying it a lot. Let me know what you think of the software from what you've just seen. But the fact that I can create a decent looking maze within about 5 to 10 minutes is pretty impressive for me. Okay, so let's move on to the end of the video and just talk about the bonus that I'm going to be offering with this software if you purchase through me. So if you watch my videos, you know that I'm not very good at this part of the whole promotion, the whole incentivizing thing. But if you're going to be buying this through me, then I want to be able to give you something personal. Okay, I want to be able to give you something fantastic, something that's going to give you a ton of value that no one's done before. Now, if you've been watching my recent videos, you'll know that I've been creating a full-blown case study. So if you decide to get this software through me, you're going to be getting that case study for free with this software. And honestly, I think having a case study is 100 times better than offering something like a course to you, because I'm going to be showing you from start to finish a book that I will literally be selling on Amazon, which you'll be able to see and follow. Okay, which leads me back to the point that I've been making lately about how I think it's better to actually show people what is working instead of trying to tell people what I think is going to be working. Okay, so that's going to cover the entire journey of that book. So finding a niche, creating a cover, creating the title, differentiating the book, running ads to it, and future updates of that as well. So there's going to be like 15 videos. Those are going to be updated in time so that you can keep track of what I'm doing. But yeah, if you decide to get the software through me, then I'm extremely excited to share that with you. So yeah, that's it for this review of Hand-Drawn Mazes. I think it's a great piece of software. I'm going to be using it for my business this year. Going to be using it in a bunch of different niches as well. And also regarding the case study book that I show off in the bonus, I am literally going to be using this software to create some of the pages for that book. Okay, so at least you know that I'm going to be using this in my publishing business too. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the upcoming videos very soon.